It all began on Halloween. After watching a scary movie with my friends, we played time travel. This is a game we invented, and it requires a pack of cards. Everybody sits in a circle and takes 3 cards. The numbers on them represent years, the royals denoting hundreds of years. Then we go round the circle, starting with the dealer. Each person says how many years back in time the cards say they are travelling, and tell a brief story. I got a really low number, so I tell a story about a minor event in my own lifetime. There's a few things you need to know about me that's relevant to the story I told that night, before knowing what I told the girls. I've been into girls for as long as I can remember, and I liked Caroline from the first time I set eyes on her. We met in high school. I was taken by her dazzling smile immediately. She was similar to me in a lot of ways. Same average figure, same big for our age boobs, and only a couple of inches or so taller than me. But unlike my long light brown hair, complete with short frizzy bits that stuck out from my head like a weird halo whenever I tied it back, Caroline had glorious long natural strawberry blonde hair that always had lovely fat ringlet curls. Our boobs got us a lot of attention from the boys, and this was the first thing we bonded over, whispering to each other about the lecherous looks the other was getting. I even had one ask for my bra size. We became friends and currently live next door to each other, but I have never been able to tell her how I feel for fear of rejection, losing a friend, and back then my sexuality becoming the talk of the school if she mocked me for showing that kind of interest. So the story I told my friends that night was something about there being someone I wish I'd have told how I felt about them, but now it's too late, because they have disappeared from my life. The last bit is a lie, of course. She's still right across the street. The stories the others told were mostly creepy and had us pretty on edge by the time the game was over. That night, the dreams began. I was looking out my bedroom window, which is pretty normal. My room has 2 windows, and is on a corner, 1 window on each external wall. One of these happens to look directly into Caroline's bedroom. In the first dream, it was night time, and while I was standing watching, Caroline approached her window, hair wet from the shower, and clinging to the front of her long t-shirt, making it wet. It was obvious that the t-shirt may have been the only thing she had on. She gripped the edges of her curtains without drawing them closed, and gazed into my window with glazed eyes, not seeming to notice me stood there. Eventually, she finally pulled her curtains shut. I continued to stand at that window for a long time after. When I woke up, that was all I could remember. During the following week, all the dreams I could remember were in a similar vein. Then I woke up randomly during the night one time to find that I couldn't see anything. I was blind. I touched my eyes and found the sockets vacant. I was hyperventilating so much that I may have passed out from lack of oxygen. The next morning, when I woke up, everything was normal. Nothing wrong with my eyes. I just put the experience down as a vivid nightmare. Oh, how I wish that's what it truly was. After that, I dreamed about venturing into Caroline's house, each night going deeper, exploring further. By the end of the week, I felt like I knew the layout of her house in detail, even though I had never set foot inside. I was incredibly disturbed because I dreamt I was watching beautiful Caroline sleep from the chair at the foot of her bed. Out of the blue, she awakes and groggily looks around her room, but does not appear to notice me. I move closer, irresistibly drawn to her. Her eyes widen in horror, and she screams. The sound is so loud, so high-pitched, and so real, filled with terror like I have never heard before. As I flee, the sound penetrates my slumber, and I wake. Sitting up in bed, I can clearly hear Caroline still screaming bloody murder next door, but I can't see. Panic grips my chest, a fear like I have never felt before weighing down my stomach and paralysing my lungs. That was no dream. Somehow, I was really there, in Caroline's room. Why can't I see? Am I still asleep? As before, my eye sockets feel vacant. Then an undescribable sensation envelopes me, and all of a sudden I can see again. That's when I realise the impossible truth. Every night my eyeballs leave my body and stalk my crush. No, that can't be right. It's insane. There must be another explanation. I feel nauseous. Thankfully, Caroline has stopped screaming at the top of her lungs. Well, that was 3 days ago. I have been too scared to sleep since then. I feel terrible. The lack of sleep is really starting to affect me, but I can't confide in anyone. They would probably have me committed to a psych ward, like for real. Maybe if I wear an eye mask it will help. I really gotta get some sleep. I'm dying here. But I don't even have an eye mask. Ugh, my eyelids are so heavy. Despite the fear, I'll just close my eyes for a second. The silence is broken by an unfamiliar noise. I look out my bedroom window, the one which looks directly across into Caroline's house, just in time to see a figure in black slipping into her open window. Maybe it's just her boyfriend, taking advantage of the conveniently placed ladder that's been left there. I've seen her dad working on the roof every day this week. I don't even know if she has a boyfriend right now. Instead of turning away, I remain fixated, staring at her darkened window. Since my window is also open due to the warm night, the sounds of muffled distress soon reach my ears, accompanied by what sounds like a struggle. So I take it he's not a boyfriend then. I want to do something, but I can't move. My limbs are frozen, locked in place, weighed down somehow. I try to cry out, but I'm uncertain that any sound at all past my lips. Then it happens. The worst sound I have ever heard from a human being rings out from Caroline's room. Like a shot, the man is down the ladder and racing off back to wherever he came from. I see the blade of a knife glint in his hand as he mounts the ladder to leave, the silver shine dulled along the blade somewhat. Blood. I also catch a look at his face. As he blends into the night, I am left in shock. I know him. He's about our age and lives in the area close by, but didn't go to our school. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I've seen him around a lot. He's always had a thing for Caroline. The light in Caroline's room comes on. The silence is pierced by her mum's screams, bringing me back to reality with a jolt. Sitting up, I immediately realise that I must have fallen asleep. My sight returns as my rogue, wandering eyes settle back into my head. Glancing at the time, I see it's a little after 3. I'm too afraid to look across at her room, but the sounds of her parents' hearts breaking as they try to explain to the emergency operator on the phone what's going on tells me it wasn't a dream. I'm sure Caroline is okay. It'll just be a stab wound or something. No, that's the night sweet Caroline died. 3:03 a.m. Murdered, brutally, so much blood. Too traumatised and freaked out, I didn't pay any attention to the awful details, like where she was slashed or how many times she was stabbed and all that. I already feel sick enough. By the time of her funeral, the police have still not made any arrests. I think about it as I cry over her coffin. What if they can't find or identify him? How do I explain seeing him now? I can't possibly come forward. Not now. Too much time has passed. I was sure they would quickly get the killer, and there was no need for my input. What do I do now? Luckily for me, the police collar Jake the following week, without my input. My sleep, however, continues to be plagued by visions of beautiful Caroline.